He riri ana ngā mihi ki ngā whaitua katoa te motu tēnā rā koutou. Would you like to introduce yourselves? Oh, you just look at me.
Okay. My name's Ihaya Raharuhi, and I come from Ngāti Kauwhata, Ngāti Tama, Ngāti Rārua, in the south. This is my daughter.
Nirvana.
Might want to speak up.
My name's Nirvana.
Same surname, Raharuhi, and same whakapapa.
Tēnā rā kōroa. We're here talking about personal experiences of racism as a part of a campaign leading up to National Anti-Racism Week on the 21st of March. Would you like to share an experience about a personal experience about racism that you've encountered in your life?
Yeah, so just before we start, just Nirvana's here, and if she wants to speak about her experiences of just, that's up to her, but if she doesn't, she's here to support me and the kaupapa. So I want to just go back. I thought about this, and there's been a lot of incidences on both sides of my my genealogy. So I'll start probably with one. When I was at school, at high school, I went to am I allowed to name the school?
You can just say a school.
I went to at my high school. It was one of the last schools to abolish corporal punishment, and so they used our surnames instead of first names. So it was quite institutionalised. It was a real old institution, lots of sport, highly disciplined, and corporal punishment. So my surname is Raharuhi, and a lot of the teachers most of the teachers had issue with that, so my name was shortened to Rarui. But there was a couple of, one teacher in particular, his name was Mr. Coburn. He was our science teacher, and we had an issue, but he used my name, he bastardised my name quite deliberately most of the time. Like a robot, he would say Rarui, just really disrespectfully, because he would know it was a trigger for me. And his name was Coburn, but it was spelled Cockburn, Cockburn. So I would start calling him Cockburn, and he didn't like that, so I would get caned. So most he ever caned me was 6 times a day, but towards the end, by Form 2, I wasn't even making it into his class. I'd just have to stay outside, and he wouldn't need an excuse to cane me after the first year. So we'd have to queue up outside the class. This is how it worked. You'd queue up outside the class in a line, and then as soon as the teacher came, he'd open the class and everyone would go in. But as soon as I would come to the door, he'd just go like that and say, Rarui, outside. So I wouldn't even make it into the classroom. So I'd just get either three canes before I could even get into the classroom. But that was based around, that came from the use of my name, and I refused to call him Coburn if he refused to call me Raharuhi. So that started. I asked my mum to come and see him. My mum was called in to come and see him. But Mum, I remember, which is a bit embarrassing.
How old were you?
13. But I remember asking my mother, because she worked in an aluminium factory, if she could wear a fur, if she could dress up.
Yeah.
I was embarrassed. I didn't want him to see her in a smock covered in aluminium, basically. So, I can remember saying, now I'm a bit embarrassed with that, but I can remember saying to my mum, can you not come to school dressed like that? And she was like, why? And I said, because I don't want you to, So there was a little bit of embarrassment, I guess, because of that incident. There were others that he would do that to too. I wasn't isolated, but I guess they just wore it, whereas I wouldn't. Yeah, so Mum had an issue with him caning me so much, and they had a disagreement. She wore a fur coat over her smock, so she still wore her smock, but she just wore a jacket over the top of it. But yeah, they had a discussion around the use of the name and disrespect. But at the end of the day, he just said he didn't like me and I didn't like him, and it was left at that. I was taken out of his classroom. But yeah, school wasn't that kind of, yeah.
Who would want to go to school when you're treated like that? Eh? So you were moved from his class to another class?
That's right, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I just moved out of his class. It was coming to the end of I left school at the end of the fourth form,
Yeah.
getting into the fifth, but I couldn't get a leaver certificate, so I had to wait till I was 15 before I could get signed out of school, yeah.
How was that experience, or those experiences, 'cause it sounded like it was
I didn't really...
repetitive.
It was repetitive.
How did that impact you in terms of, in terms of, who you are as a person? Because I still hear that from, some kids today about not being caned, of course, because you're not allowed, but there are the mispronunciation on
that's
purpose
big.
of their name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt like it was done on purpose, because he had 2 years to correct himself. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And the fact that he couldn't handle me mispronouncing his name, but I wasn't able to assert violence on him, yet he was able to do that to me. I hated the school, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was that kind of school.
Yeah.
And Māori kids would get, we'd have to, I think once a year or twice a year, we would all have to go into the assembly and fill out, what tribe did you come from? It would be, say, are you a quarter, half?
Really?
Yeah, those types of statistics. They probably
Like
still...
paperwork?
Paperwork, yeah, that we'd have to fill out.
For the school?
Yeah, for the school, like a statistical thing. Tribal stuff, which parents might, all that type of thing. There's probably still records of all that stuff. That was early 80s. I'm not sure what it was used for. And then we were all take an hour and then we'd all go back.
Yeah.
So in Rongotai College at the time, there was probably predominantly Māori, Greek, Pacific Island, Chinese and Samoan.
Wow.
It was pretty multicultural, but
And
Māori was still a minority.
yes.
There were probably more Greeks, Samoans and Pākehās than there were Māori. Yeah.
At the college?
At the college, yeah.
You mentioned about how, you weren't able to resort to violence against him, although he could to you.
Yeah.
There's that power inequality stuff, right, that happens. Often in racism too, it's intertwined with power.
Yeah.
One ethnicity having power over the other. Have you experienced that in have you had other experiences of that power dynamic?
Yeah, I have,
Yeah.
in business. That was probably about four years ago. Well, these are kind of connected, these incidences. So my brother is he has properties in Fielding, and he went to purchase quite a large property. He lives in LA, so no one had seen him. But there was an article about one of his proposed developments, or proposed purchase, which was quite a significant building, the Rangateke Club in Fielding. Anyway, his name was in an article in the press. So one night I had been out socialising, and with my partner and some friends at the time. We'd been out for dinner and drinks, and we'd gone into the Irish bar, and I'd only just got in there, and I'd gone up to the bar, and my partner had gone outside, and the couple that we were with had sat down at a table, and quite quickly after that, 3 men came up to the bar, and I think you know the story, and one was a really prevalent business owner, and the other one was the husband of a council member, and the other one was their friend, and they came up to me at the bar, and his wife had called my brother a thief previously at the restaurant for purchasing this piece of property for the price that he was going to purchase for, and she had called, basically came out right and said, your brother's nothing but a thief for purchasing a property that da-da-da. Anyway, that led on to the next bar that we went to, and these guys came up to me, and the owner of one of these big businesses, there was a heated discussion about him purchasing this property, and I had said it's got nothing to do with me, that's my brother's business. And he just tapped me on the chest and said, quite blatantly or confidently, we don't want any more niggers or homos opening businesses in this town. And, a fight broke out after that comment. And in fact, the pub nearly pretty much ended up in a brawl. But it just highlighted to me, I've never, for someone to publicly, blatantly say that, and these guys are in positions of power. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and neither could anybody else. That's the first time I really felt, I'd heard undertones of people's comments, but that was probably the most violent, using the nigger word and the homo word in one sentence, as a threatening gesture, or it was a warning, because I'm a business owner, that they are quite threatened by Māori having any input into the development of our town. So that almost split. That had a real impact on a group of people within the town. We had gone to see the mayor at the time, me and my partner, because we were concerned that one of them was the wife of a councillor or the personal assistant of the mayor, and we asked if she could intervene, and one was a huge business owner, and she didn't want to get involved. So I found that really interesting that nothing was done.
Often when there is pushback against those power structures, they close ranks.
And that's what happened.
Yeah, protect their own.
Yeah.
And vilify the other people.
Yeah, we became victimised again. Yeah. This is my brother again. We were taking care of one of his buildings. My partner had been doing some work on it at the time, and the building owner next door had cut off the power to our building, which we were putting in a shop. But he just cut off the building. So we were there with, we had a meeting to meet him. He had no idea who I was, and we had a meeting with the electricians because they had to find a main to connect us back to the main building. So we had to meet the owner of this other building next door. Anyway, so we met and we were discussing where the main was and how to hook it up, and the owner of this building just said, "Oh, you'll never meet the owner." And there was an Irish guy who was the power guy, and he said, "Oh, why is that?" He said, "Oh, he's just some Maori that lives overseas. Anytime there's a problem, he just throws his hat over it. He's one of those Maoris." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Oh, they just avoid problems. He's been a problem from the start with this building. He won't comply." And I said, "That's my brother you're talking about." And he just looked shocked. He said, oh, well, you know what I mean? I said, no, I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? He said, oh, well, we've had problems with this building and your brother doesn't want to do anything about it. I said, you're lying. You just cut the power to our building without actually, telling us. You gave us no warning. You just cut us from the main. So how's that my brother's fault? And what's that got to do with him being a Māori? He just walked off. Completely left the conversation and walked off to his truck, got in it and drove off. The Irish guy beside us, who was the power guy, he was dumbfounded. He goes to me, my wife's a Māori. She would have chased that truck down the road. He just couldn't believe that this old fellow had just come out with it so naturally, so
Just off the tongue,
just
as if you're talking.
just in a conversation. He didn't care who was there. Like it was so natural. Yeah.
Yeah. How can I ask Nirvana? How does it make you feel when you hear Dad talking about? Because you already know all of this, because you were there. Yeah. How does that make you feel about your identity as Māori? When you hear Dad talk about his experiences that he's had of racism.
I mean, they shouldn't have said that to my dad, but I feel proud of who I am.
Yeah. Cool.
That's good.
Yeah.
Nirvana's, she's in a school with a large majority of Māori and Ngāti Kaupapa children.
Yes.
The school previous, I think, had some issues around racism. So she chose to go to this other school, and it's been amazing.
Yeah. What's been different about it for you?
Everything. You learn way more different stuff than you did at the other school. Yeah.
What about the values?
With the reach values,
Yeah, compared to the other school.
they were better. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you in the, is it the bilingual unit?
No,
Oh,
in Potama.
oh yes, yeah, because it's your last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I've noticed a difference as a parent
Yeah.
in her identity from going from that school to that school. Her last year at the other school, I won't say it. This boy came out of the classroom. This kind of did it for me. This boy came out of the classroom. Do you remember? And I was sitting outside waiting for her, and all the parents were on their devices in another world. And this South African boy, he was South African, eh?
Yeah.
The South African boy come running out using all this derogatory language. I'll fuck you up the ass, you nigger bitch. It was all this, nigger, bitch, da 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 da. Real derogatory swearing.
To you?
No, it was
No.
to another boy.
Oh.
But everyone heard, Anyway, he ran off. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So I went into I said to Nirvana, she's coming out, did you hear that? Like, yeah, everyone heard it, Dad. But here's the teacher. So I waited for the class to empty out a bit, and I said to him, to the teacher, did you hear any of that? Oh, what was that? I said, don't you dare tell me you didn't hear that, because Nirvana said she heard it, and so did the other kids. Oh no, he's just like that. So I said, did you hear what came out of his mouth? He said he didn't. Anyway, we were leaving the playground, and Nirvana pointed out that kid to me, and I went up to him, and I said to him, don't you ever use that language again. I was probably a bit more forceful than that, but I wanted him to know that I was angry, and that's not appropriate in front of my daughter, who is brown, and 60% of the class is from kōwhata, or you know, Māori. That he thinks that that's okay. The headmaster, his excuse when he rang me that evening was, his parents are teacher at this school and he's going through a little bit of difficulty at the moment. So it was excused.
Mm. Wow. No.
No, the boy wrote me a letter, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, a letter of like apology or something like that. Wow. How old? And what age? Because that's primary, right?
Yeah.
10.
10.
Yeah.
But it was, the language he was using was amazing.
Yeah. Do they have, did they have any kind of curriculum around te ao Māori or any kind of aspect like that?
Nothing.
Mm.
It's tokenistic.
Yes, well that's the other thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
They tend
Whereas this school that she's at now, there's a real nurturing going on. Well, that's what I've felt. Even when you enter the playground, there's no chaos. There's, you know, it's calm, isn't it?
Yes. Very quiet.
Respectful. I mean, they're still playing, but
yeah.
they're not yelling and screaming at each other and like
Yeah.
the other school.
And because it's kind of ironic because it's a low decile school, isn't it, compared to the other one?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
There is a myth, there seems to be a myth for some schools who are at the low decile end, there's a negative stereotype around that, right? And so a lot of parents often will drive past a low decile school to go to a
Yeah.
higher decile school in the belief that that's going to give you a better education and everything else that comes with it. But your experience is kind of pointing to a different story, kind of boosting that myth.
Yeah.
Really, yeah, or shining a light on it, that actually, hang on, I go to this low decile school and I'm really comfortable there and I like it better than the high decile school I was at. Yeah. Is there something specific you can describe about the school that you like currently?
Yeah, so they have the REACH values of respect, excellence, acceptance, creativity and honesty, and that's like the same like values that you would have in a household.
At your home?
Yeah.
Yeah. How does it feel to be a Māori female student there?
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you get to explore a range of topics and ideas in the school curriculum?
Yeah.
You know, can you bring your own tikanga, if you like, from home or from the marae into a project or something you're studying?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
What are you studying at the moment?
Is there any particular projects you might be working on at the moment?
No, we haven't started our STEAM yet, but we're starting it this Thursday, I think.
Oh, the STEM, the science and engineering, that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And they've
cool.
just done their pepeha,
Mm.
whakapapa, last week. So they're working on, you know, and the leadership program.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They
You're in
have-
the leadership program?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the William Pike program.
Oh, well done. Cool.
So they've also offered, you know, sounds like an advertisement for the school, but it's not. You know, that's quite an expensive program to,
The William Pike one?
yeah. And she wouldn't have been able to enter it, but they've offered, you know, I can pay that off $5 a week at the
Yeah.
beginning of the year. So that makes it accessible rather than, you know, that's 400 for that, or, you know, like, it wouldn't be accessible.
Yes.
But to have it, to be able to pay $5 a week or $10 a week or whatever for the whole year means she can do it.
Yeah.
Which those are the types of things that this school takes into consideration,
Yes.
which others don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. If there's anything else that you want to share before we wrap up,
Yeah, there is. It's more about. I don't know if it's called institutionalized racism or what, but how there's been two projects that I've worked in that I've been passionate about. One was with the Integrated Health Centre for Fielding, and the other one was for the Fielding District Promotions. So I was I was an iwi consultant for both of those projects. I spent 18 months on the Integrated Health Centre with the Fundraising Network Committee, whose goal was to raise $1.2 million out of the community to put towards this project. However, this group soon became more of an advisory group for the Manawatu Community Trust, who were working with the doctors to establish this project. Within this time, we had verbally agreed on what Ngāti Kaupata was going to get out of this project by giving ourselves to it. In other words, the whenua was ours. It was gifted land for the purpose of being used for health reasons. And it had been unused for many, 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 many years, so it had sat empty. The Manawatu Community Trust were the people that were going to take ownership or take care of the building. Our role as Māori was basically to tick a box. So they were unable to go ahead with this project without iwi involvement. Because the DHB or Ministry of Health didn't deem it as a community project, or it didn't fit the community box, didn't tick that box.
Yes.
But when you have iwi in that box, it automatically
It'll
ticks.
tick it,
It will tick that box.
regardless of whether there's a honest engagement, authentic
Absolutely.
engagement around there.
Yeah. There was one meeting that Manawatu Community Trust had got. There were two things. They had access to funds, and I deemed it inappropriate that we asked the community for $1.2 million when they had access to funds through the bank. And I took that back to our people and said, oh no, they can go to the bank and get 1.2 million. Why are they asking the community? That money can be better used. And we know who gives money. Really, it's the poorer people that give money. So let's leave. There's a lot of money to pull out of the community. It was agreed on by the group of women that I was working with that wasn't ethical. So that was that fundraising network was disestablished. However, we stayed on as more of a consultative group to get Manawatu Community Trust through the goalpost, which was a 38-year lease on that property that the Ministry of Health were going to pay for. They had a snag, and the snag was the community part, because actually the doctors it was a private business, and they were leasing off Community Trust, and the DHB and the ministry were funding that 38-year lease. So I took them to meet Sir Mason Jury and a few other iwi leaders. There were three others actually, but who understand that dialogue quite well. We sat down in front of them. The meeting only lasted 15. Manawatu Community Trust and the doctors wanted to take us to ministry in person, but Sir Mason had said we don't need to do that. We just need to, under the Treaty of Waitangi section blah blah blah, put that in your first paragraph, send that off to ministry, and that will appease them. Tick the box. We ticked the box and we got nothing in return. Nothing. So
this is a matter that needs to be revisited,
it
because we
does,
know
it
that
does
our people
needs to be revisited.
we have engaged with our own people, doing some interviews, and
It's come up
probably much everybody has talked about the
this.
difficulty in accessing
healthcare, primary healthcare.
At Fielding Health Centre.
One of the roles that we were asked for was a 0.5 position with a Māori speaking a nurse or liaison person. Her primary or his primary role would be to engage with Māori so that they understand what the doctors just, their medications, their follow-ups. Their job is to get our people into the health system. We would have been 1% of their health growth if they had have stuck to their agreement. Ngāti Kaupata. Ngāti Kaupata specifically, but Māori within the region. And that role would have been pivotal in engaging our own people so they understand when their appointments up, their follow-up appointments. It would have been a key role, but again...
Well, it's almost like because people can't get an appointment.
That's right.
So even having a 0.5, that would have helped.
It would have helped, yeah.
To get an appointment.
Yeah.
But there aren't any appointments to get. No,
that's right. So it's a failed model in my eyes, and they haven't used a holistic approach. They call it a wellness, but it's not a wellness model. There's nothing holistic about it, it's a business. So that form of racism, and it's happened again with Fielding District Promotions, where they've used us to get funding, to partner with us. Then once they've got the funding for 5 years, or 3-year funding, they don't engage with us. Part of those problems where we never got onto the executive. We were written into their strategic plan. We opened the information centre for them with a pōwhiri and a blessing. But that was it. We had no say over who was employed. We had no say over, there was no Māori staff, there was no kōwhata staff, nothing. So again, that type of racism, I don't know what you call it, they just use us to get what they want.
Yes.
And then...
tap you on the shoulder to do the performances.
Yeah,
when they
get the money in the bank by writing us into their strategic plan. So council give them the funding because council think, oh, there's a partnership happening there. However, this time I took this grievance back to hui a iwi. I took it back to Ngāti Kaupata, and I said to one of our meetings there, I had raised my concerns that the partnership had failed, or they had failed to honour the partnership. It was agreed within that hui a iwi that they were to return the symbol that was given to them of partnership, which was 2 cast iron huia feathers. That was a gift given to them as a symbol of our relationship. We asked for those to be returned. They have been returned, and then we also stated in an email that we no longer support any activities from Fielding District Promotions. So that was a feel-good moment, that we were able to get something back.
Yes.
But there was 5 years we lost with nothing, and just nothing given back.
Yes.
They don't even celebrate, or they don't even do anything for Matariki, they don't even do anything for Waitangi, they don't do anything for the kids.
But they're restructuring, or that's about to look different?
It's about to look different,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
How different?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think as a result of, your efforts in highlighting these, or how just inept they are at engaging with local iwi?
Yep, I think that's helped highlight some of those gaps. Yeah.
They're almost more than gaps, it's almost just blatant racism.
It's blatant racism. It is. And they don't even, some of them don't even know they're being racist. It's that ingrained in them. Yeah, but the whole mimicking, their whole executive level is, it's old, it's antiquated, it's archaic. They still mimic people when they walk in the room, that level of childish, seeing that from a 70-something-year-old man who's an executive is pretty disheartening, to say the least, to think this man's in a leadership role and he still resorts to childish behaviour.
Mimicking people.
He mimics me as a gay man. So I just...
In the meeting?
In the meeting. I've had to walk out twice because he'll talk to me like a gay, you know, he'll put on being gay or whatever. And just blows me away to think people still do that, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad that we're not a part of that as an iwi, to be honest.
Yeah.
However, I think we do need to relook at the integrated health centre because health is key to us as a people, and we're not being able to access those services.
Yes, it's a human right. Health is a human right.
Yeah.
Health access, and it's not good enough just to say we don't have an appointment for 2 weeks or 1 week, or you can talk to us on the phone, or you can, what is it, Skype in. It's not good enough.
It's not good enough.
Yeah.
No.
No matter how dressed up it is, it's just not good enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
We could go on, but
We
I
could.
think that pretty much.
Yeah.
Are you happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you both for
Thank
coming
you.
in and sharing these experiences.